Hold on, that's a weird sound. I'll do pretty generic crits, I guess, just to try to make things go a little bit faster. And since everybody's at different levels, you know, there's some freshmen and there's some seniors here, and then there's Brandon doing his thing. I'm not gonna be very specific about designs for at least this pass. Maybe the next pass will get a little bit more in depth on, you know, actually critting and drawing over the specific pieces. If that sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to go as fast as I can because there's a lot of people on this list and a lot of people turn stuff in. I also don't really have a ton of familiarity about what each group or character is all about. I glanced at it, but you know, if there's something that I'm saying that doesn't necessarily apply to one of those characters, somebody just holler and tell me to shut up.
All right.
Okay? You guys ready?
Yep.
Let's see if I can get this thing to work. Present. Entire screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I guess we'll just go through the groups. We'll go through group one. Also, I don't know who everybody is, so I'm just gonna like open it like that and start talking about this. So I don't know who this person is. It's okay, but the one thing that I would like to see is a little bit more exploration of the actual shapes and proportions of the character. A lot more thumbnails would definitely help explore. I like how this person's really, you know, thinking about how these wings are going to open, but now we need to develop that as well. But yeah, that's all I can really say about that. The color exploration is nice. I don't know who these are. Let's see, 1, 2 pages. So again, the exploration's okay, but it's still all, I don't think it's pushed far enough. Things could definitely be explored a little bit more. I mean, I'm looking at these silhouettes and they're still fairly similar. I think a lot more thumbnails would definitely help. Out of the sketches that are here, you know, developing them is working okay, but more exploration would definitely push things. Because when you guys are doing characters, especially something for like fantasy type stuff, it's been done a gazillion times, and what you want to do is try to find something that makes it more unique and more yours. It's really hard with things like, you know, elves and werewolves and stuff because everybody's done those a gazillion times. Does that make sense? Good. And then this is linked to inspiration. Let's see. This is good because I wanted to see everybody's. I wanted to see everybody's to see how you guys are working. This project's just kind of like a fun side project, but I still want to make sure you guys are doing things correctly in the process. And that means, you know, taking time to explore silhouettes, taking time to look at good reference and explore reference. These are looking pretty good. It's a good, you know, I can look at this Pinterest page and I already know the kind of feel that I guess this is Madison is looking to get out of her piece. So this is a good start. And I guess this is her work. Just looking pretty cool, but again, it would have been nice to see a little bit more exploration and a little bit more exaggeration on some of this. Like when I look at, you know, the kind of silhouettes here, they're pretty much the same. Like, I don't know, you got a little bit of a triangle chest here, a little bit of a, you know, rectangular one here, and a little bit curvy one there. But it's still too similar. And especially when you guys are first starting out, you really, really want to explore. You want to brainstorm. You want to do like at least 30 to 50, you know, silhouette thumbnails, just so you can explore and push, get kind of the generic stuff out of your system when you guys are doing it. Um, that way you can get to the more interesting things, the more unique shapes and proportions that you may not initially think of. But things like that are what's going to make your designs stand out and way more interesting. But this is this is a good start. I like the exploration in the clothing. So, but it is what it is. The reference is looking good, like I said. Am I going too fast?
No.
Are we okay? I'm trying to jam through all these because
Yeah.
suckers. So this is, I don't know who MX Williams is, but I think the same kind of notes apply. Is more exploration in the shapes and the silhouettes. Like when I look at these silhouettes, they're the same character just in different poses. He's got the same haircut, same proportions, same size, same shape. All this exploration on the details is fine, but it's a little early for that, to be honest. And some of this drawing needs to be stronger as well, just in terms of the gesture and the anatomy, just to make it a little bit, stronger. Some kind of inspiration. So here's one thing that I have a pet peeve against when it comes to reference and inspiration is, and it's not a pet peeve actually, it's something you guys should try to avoid, and that's referencing other artists and only other artists. Because when I look at this, it's like somebody had fun going through DeviantArt and picking their favorite drawings, which is fine because it's inspiring to see other people's drawings. But you want to do more when gathering your reference, because you want to look for things that are authentic. I don't know if John Clapp has ever talked to you guys about authenticity in your artwork, or maybe Angela, in terms of getting real reference and looking at things that are real and not just copying other artists' interpretations of something that's real, if that makes sense. So if you're looking at stuff like this, it's okay to look at, but you want to go beyond that. You want to find, you don't want to copy, look at this guy's wings and say, oh, that's how I should reference wings. You want to look at real birds' wings, right? And different types of birds, because they all have different types of feathers, different types of patterns, and you want to find something interesting that's real and authentic. So I tell this person to go beyond just finding other people's weird paintings. I think I'm going too slow. I think I gotta go faster. This is Matthew reference. So the reference is getting there. Cool. Again, this is the kind of the same thing. I would have liked a little bit more exploration and pushing things a little bit more. I do like how there's these silhouettes are distinct enough in how they feel. Like it's just a change of clothing, but they feel like three different characters, and that's what you want it to feel like. But I wish there were more than three. That's all. Then Andrew Soto. So I actually like these quite a bit because it's pushing things, beyond your typical shapes, and really exploring different feels. And that's what you guys want to do when you're especially starting off with the character design and brainstorming and thumbnailing. Is some of these are looking really, really cool, and I have no idea what the hell this weird ring is, but it's a cool shape in contrast to whatever's going on here. I think those are just weapons, maybe. But even the wings here have a different shape, and there's some exploration going on, and that's freaking awesome. And that's what you guys really, really want to do. Oh, group 1 done. 5 minutes?
Nice.
I'm on fire. My voice is gonna go out so fast though. All right, group 2. What is this supposed to be? Are these supposed to be like werewolf things? Group 2. Wait, I think I have a list here. Is that what
It's
this
a
is?
species called a bugbear.
A bugbear.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Outlandish
like
evil going by la. Lost their sense of smell in a bar fight. Ooh, that's good to know. So this is Katie, I guess. Again, good exploration. I like that there's not just different shapes, but there's different poses that kind of give you a sense of the character. Oh wait, is this more? Is this the same? No, it's not the same person. More. I would just say more. That's all. And then pick one of these and go for it. I like this. That has the most character, just in that pose. And this is Teresa. Again, I think more exploration, because right now it seems like, okay, this is the design. We're done, you know? But there should definitely be a lot more exploration, especially with when you're having something cool like a freaking, what is this, a bear hugger or whatever?
Bugbear.
Bugbear. When you got like a creature, you can do a lot. You can do things that are way cooler and pushed way further than, putting fur on a human and giving him, long toenails and an underbite. You can play with the anatomy. You can make him a creature. Think about I don't know, if you think about like even the anatomy of a bear, how they stand is so different from how humans stand. Is you have an opportunity to really push things and exaggerate and go crazy, but you can only do that if you kind of get this generic human body out of your head, which means you do a thumbnail of it, which is great, but then you push it further in your next thumbnail and further in the next one and the next one and the next one. And that'll help you get to a place where you never thought you could be before, For creature stuff, definitely look at not just animals, but look at all sorts of organic shapes. So you can look at trees or plants, and sometimes they have their shapes or fruits that are so weird that their shapes can give you an idea on where you want to take things. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And then Carolyn's, okay, it's a decent reference page. It'd be nice to see probably a little bit more. So there's two types of reference you guys always want to get when you guys are starting any type of work. You want to get the things that are inspiring, like that kind of show the mood that you want to capture in your piece, whether that's concept art or character design. But then you also want to find stuff that's more like reference to help you draw it correctly. So when I look at this is definitely a cool mood piece, because you look at all the pieces and there's kind of a unifying feel or style to it, which tells me, okay, I have an idea of what Carolyn's design it might look like. But then you need to start to find more reference to help you actually draw it accurately. So let's see. So her thumbnails are okay. They can be pushed a little bit more. I think it's nice that there is some variety in there, but I'm always about pushing things further. And the same kind of notes I said, this is kind of cool because she's actually studying the bear skull and how it connects to the neck. But this one looks like it's just a head that's plopped on a humanist body. So push it more. And oh, that's cool. Cool reference with hyena. See, this is how a bear stands. Like, how can you incorporate that into your character design, right? So I think these are all right. They're on the right track. They can, like I said, they can be pushed even further. There's a nice contrast between these characters, which is nice. Yeah, and then another thing you want to start to explore is in terms of reference gathering is what kind of clothing, right now these are kind of generic medieval clothes, but if you start to look at reference at actual medieval rags and clothing, peasant clothing, whatever, there's a little bit of variety in there, and you can really search for something unique and incorporate that into the design. All right, 2 down. Holy
Something
smokes!
was-
there's a lot.
Something I'm a bit confused about is that the species was listed as a bugbear. I didn't know what that was, so I did some research, and it said it was like a goblin that, like a big beefy goblin that is like really hairy. It wasn't like a bear really at all. But everyone seems to have been interpreting it like a bear, and you've been critting it like a bear. And so I'm a bit unsure what I should be going for then.
Go for whatever you want. I think so I guess that's good that you did that research, because that's not something I didn't know. And like I said earlier, I don't have all the details of all these characters. Okay, but what does it mean to be what did you say, it was just an orcish type creature?
It was like a big hairy goblin kind of, but I definitely agree with a lot of your crit though about like pushing it more and making it less just human.
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah,
the word goblin, that can have a lot of pretty wide range of interpretations as well. But that's good that you did the research on what exactly a bugbear is, and looks like not everybody did that, since they put a lot of bears and everything. But yeah, cool. That's good. Group 3. So what is this character supposed to be? I guess I should have done this for all the groups. What is a pureblood? Anybody know? Is it supposed to be
like
just
a
a human?
snake person. It's the way they're described as people who who believed that snakes were like gods, so they tried to get closer to snakes in like biology, so they became like snakes.
Cool. What's a sneeple?
A sneeple, a snake person, snake people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not hip on all the cool language you guys use. Okay, so these are snake-like people. Good to know. I think this could be pushed further, because now it's just a human with, different colored skin and some snaky hair. It could definitely. I mean, imagine if you're a person who thinks snakes like a god, you'd want to change so many things about yourself. Like you could really, what if they really took like snake skins and like wrapped themselves in it so that they would have like this cool snake skin texture. I think it's just pushed
there are 3
further.
different types of Yanti. The Yanti purebloods are the ones that are supposed to be closest to human. So they're like almost human, but they've got like some scales.
Okay, yeah, but what if they were doing even more than just, their physical appearance? What if they were, dressing as snakes, and that, and all their clothing was actually made of snakeskin, or what if they're, I'm just thinking of different ways to really, really push things. Even if they are the closest to human, is there something they do with their grooming? Maybe they shave off all their hair, because snakes don't have hair. Maybe they're trying to emulate the look of a snake. And I'm just throwing things out there because I don't know all the details about all these characters. And this is Avery's reference. Cool, good reference. Okay, like this is cool. I like how you're exploring the facial shapes to make them feel a little bit less human, which is kind of neat. I would keep pushing a little bit more.
Okay.
I like this. Like you're trying to get the scales in the clothing. So that's a good idea. In some of these shapes, like everybody else, I think more exploration. You could have definitely pushed it farther. And watch your proportions. They're feeling a little. They're okay, but they're feeling a little kid-like, almost like teenager. Oh, I don't know. Wait, this was is supposed to be a teenager, right?
Yeah, she was 17.
Okay, then that's fine. Um, yeah, I like this shape. The ones you start off. Cool. Just keep going. I mean, at this point, you guys, we don't have a ton of time, so you guys should just try to do a little bit of exploration if you can. But if you're really set on the direction already that you like, then go ahead and start going more forward with these.
All right.
Yutong. Cool. So I really like her exploration. Because even though some of it's abstract, like I don't know what this shape is supposed to be, it's still really cool, you know? And that's what you want to do is in exploring your shapes with your thumbnails is really, you can be abstract. You can find something, that's different. And you look at all these, even though they're all still human proportion, you squint your eyes, all the silhouettes are really, really different and really, really cool. So she's doing all right. And this is, I guess, Lissa. These are on the right track too. These are pretty cool, different explorations. I like that. I like there's no hair. There's some hair. These get a little bit. They're okay, but I think they could definitely be pushed farther in terms of really, really, really looking for something unique and different. Right now, it's just a kind of a I don't know. It still looks like something I've seen before. Oh man, there's still a lot to do. Okay, these are okay. The exploration's good. For TV, cartoon, or comic, I think one thing that's standing out to me is the glasses feel a little weird. But I don't know what the character's supposed to be. I don't know if this is set in like a modern day times or whatever. But I think the exploration's on the right track. Start looking at reference for clothing and everything, because the shapes are okay, but I think there needs to be a little bit more reference to get it, to that next stage of authenticity. I like that word today. That's gonna be my word. Cool. So I think, like everybody else, push some exploration a little bit more. Right now, it's fairly generic, and there's not much that's interesting about the character. I think just even pushing the shapes and the proportions of, how if this is supposed to be like a snake-like or snake worshipping type character, um, maybe just even in their poses, they could be a little bit more slithery. It might be the word. And this goes for everybody. I'm not. When I look at this stuff, I'm just spitting out whatever comes to mind. These need more exploration and more variety in the shapes. Right now, we got a little bit of variety in the head, but it's still the same size in all these. So I think that can definitely be pushed more. Oh, and cool, they have a motorcycle. So just more time and more exploration. Oh, man, this is gonna take forever. Okay, that's all reference. Do you know if this person had any sketches? No, guess not. References like
Not
cool, I guess. Or whose are these? Is this that person? I don't know. But that's a neat idea. That's neat. Just more. Oh, here's the inspiration for the first one. Again, this goes back to my thing of, this is great for inspiration, but let's try to find more of this and more actual reference. Because the last thing you guys want to do is just do a watered down copy of somebody else's design or artwork. And the way to avoid that is look for real reference. There's a guy named he's an art director at ILM right now. His name's James Klein. So he's done a lot of designs for movies and vehicles for, I think, Rogue One and Last Jedi he did. But he was talking to us one time, and he was just telling us his process for finding reference and inspiration. And his big words were like, fuck DeviantArt, and not that it's a bad thing or anything, but there are too many artists on websites like that only reference other artists and only get inspired by other artists, when there's so much out there in the real world that's a lot cooler than what people draw badly on DeviantArt, if that makes sense. So definitely try to find real reference, which is sometimes hard on the internet, because on the internet you can only find what you look for most of the time, because you have to type in something and you have to know what you're looking for. If you can, take some time, go to the library, just explore some books, look through nature books, architecture, fine art, modern art, even weird stuff that you think has no real value. It can be inspiring because it will inspire you to do something different than what's normally done. All right. This kind of goes to that same thing I was just talking about. I mean, some of this is good. This is great, I think. These are nice. These are, good for inspiration, but I would definitely look at more of this stuff. These sculptures, this. Look at that. That's cool. All that engraving in there. That's that's what you want to get inspired by. Even how these parts fold over each other. Little things like that is what's gonna help you make your designs more authentic. Oh, and these were Yutong's inspirations. I liked her thumbnails. And her inspiration's looking great too. She's got a mix of reality. Like, fashion's a great thing to look at, because they do some weird things in fashion. Look at that. That looks like snake-like already, right? Cool. On to group 4. Rotate left. That's better. Okay, it just needs more exploration, more thought. So one of the things you guys, I know this is supposed to be like a fun project, but you guys just all get into the habit of approaching all of your drawings and designs the same way you would approach any of your homework assignments, where you want to kind of do some research, do some reference, and take your time and put the time in to explore your brainstorming ideas. That'll get you a lot farther than trying to render something out of your imagination. But more of this, just more. Ooh, a tail. That's interesting. So again, I think these can be pushed farther. Like, I like how there's different shapes here. That's in the head. That's feeling pretty good. But most of the body feels, I guess it's different enough with the clothing silhouettes. But the proportion can be just pushed further. Whose reference is this? I guess that goes with this. On the right track, but more, And this goes back to my thing of looking other places for reference other than other artists. you know, like if I'm thinking about, if I'm thinking about these types of characters, I wonder what can, what can we look at in history or reality that might mimic something like this? Like, can we look at like a Viking hammer or something that can kind of, we can see what something like this might look like, or a crusader from the Middle Ages. What does their clothing really look like, and what does the is there armor that can kind of go with it? Sorry, I'm getting a little repetitive in everything I'm saying here, but it's all kind of the same notes. Is this the same person? No, that goes. Look at that. They grabbed the same. So this person grabbed the same reference art as that person. How are you supposed to do something original when all you're doing for your reference and inspiration is Googling Paladin and grabbing the first image that comes up, But I think this reference goes with both these guys. Needs a little bit more exploration. The proportions are a little weird. A little bit more, exaggeration. A little more contrast in the shapes and proportions would help things a little bit better. Same thing. I mean, these are nicer. Wait, are these the same as? No, they're different. These are the same, right? Yeah, these are the same. Okay, so I'm confused, but same notes. Okay, moving on. Am I boring anybody yet? Good, I'm boring myself a little bit. So group 5, what is this group supposed to be? Can somebody give me a quick rundown?
It's like they're cat people.
All right, I wonder, okay, somebody write down how many times I say the word furry.
I'll start a count over here.
Let me close this one so I'm confused. Okay. Same thing I've said all throughout is more exploration, and I think this person needs to work on their gestures a little bit more, just to make things a little bit stronger. The feet are a little weird and boxy, but I think just more exploration would be helpful. And this is her reference. Just more of this stuff. This is This is kind of cool. This is inspiring. This is always good. Definitely more work on the proportions. They're feeling a little furry-ish in terms of the head shape. I like that they're exploring different heads, but they need to look at more reference to get it a little bit more accurate in terms of that. So one thing I also want to talk to you guys about real quickly is drawing, and drawing in the computer and drawing on a Wacom tablet. Drawing on a Wacom tablet's freaking hard. It is hard to draw. Painting on a Wacom tablet's a little easier, but drawing through and getting those nice lines and shapes is a little bit more difficult on a Wacom tablet. So what I would recommend you guys do is try to do as much as you can on paper, pencil with paper. Unless, if you have a Cintiq, then you're drawing on a screen, and it's a little easier. But sometimes the Wacom tablet will hold you guys back in terms of developing strong drafting skills. So yeah, push the proportions more on that. So these are cool. I like these. Notice there's a nice contrast between the smaller shapes and the bigger shapes. I guess that's something I didn't mention before. Is when I'm saying push the contrast or push your shapes. That's what I mean. Is have big shapes. Here's a rounder shape here. Here's a little blockier shape there. And then you have smaller shapes. Secondary come off, and then tertiary ones that are smaller that kind of reveal the detail. So that's something you guys want to work on, as opposed to always having the same size and shape and just moving those pieces around to make your silhouettes. These I think are cool. They're on the right track because there's not just one hairstyle or anything. You could look at these, and these could be, these are neat. I like them. That's the same thing, right? Oh, here's the reference. See, this is reference cool because it's actual. Well, that's not actual armor. That's cool, inspiring, but all this real stuff is really neat. The real stuff is cool, and the other stuff's inspiring, but you don't want to follow closely. Who's this? Marie's. So these are okay. I like the kind of different changes in the gestures, although that's a little sassy right there. Let's see, reference. I think more reference would be helpful, just to push some of your ideas. Because look at this. Look how small that dude's head is. This cheetah. Cheetah? That's what this guy is, right? And compare that with how the head connects to the body, how lanky the body is. It'd be cool to get a little bit more of that in here. Otherwise, this is just a generic cat head, that's stuck on top of a person, which is like a furry, right? All right, I used the word furry 2 times so far. Not bad. I think the exploration's okay here, but I think it's a little. These seem like we're exploring the details as opposed to exploring, the overall silhouette and shape. And I think we want to do that first before you guys get locked into too many details and things. I would definitely push some of these proportions a little bit more. Just like in animation, you want to exaggerate everything. You want to exaggerate when you do this type of stuff too. So, even if this was cut in just a tiny bit more, so the waist was a little thinner. I mean, if you look at, how much thinner a lion's waist is compared to their chest, you can play with that type of relationship, make it feel more cat-like. Jack. Okay, like I said before, let's find more real inspirations. I mean, these are fine as inspiration, but let's start to find some reference that we can really play with. The cat as inspiration, that's kind of cool. I like that guy. That's pretty interesting. And I think you can definitely put a lot of that more into this. Because right now, I think this is kind of a similar thing to the last one where your design's feels like it's kind of set in terms of, this body and this head, and now you're just playing with the clothing and the armor, which is fine, but it feels like you kind of skipped the step of really exploring what you could do with the body and the poses and the shapes, which would have been kind of cool. But the armor stuff, I think I like this because you're starting to break down the armor into simple shapes to see how things work, and that's definitely a good approach to that type of stuff. Oh, my voice is starting to go. Okay. This is kind of the similar notes to Jax's, where the overall body is the same, and we're playing with the clothing, which is fine, like I said, but I would have liked a little bit more exploration on are these human legs or are they more cat-like? Could we make the head a little bit more forward as if it was a cat putting its head forward? Like this feels a little bit better where it's different enough. I feel like the neck's coming back this way instead of just being right below the head. References are looking cool. Wow, that's cool. Look at that. Oh, this guy doesn't have a tail. Cute. Is this Vina? Same thing I said before about the reference. That's cool. So this is interesting, but it's not super great for a reference because it's just a drawing. It's somebody else's interpretation. Because hairless cats are awesome. Same kind of notes I had about everybody else's is I think a little bit more into the gesture and playing with the proportions and the shapes just a little bit farther. Excuse me. Everything seems really kind of blocky, just in the pose and a little bit stiff. Going back to this, like, look at that. That's cool. That inspires me to look up hairless cats. Look at this dude. That's freaking cool. Oh, man.
Oh,
Look at that.
it's got a little smush.
You don't even have to redesign anything. You just draw that, and that's your new there. Oh, look at this guy. All this, look at it. This is the first page. It's way more interesting than this. Maybe they have this Cornish Rex cat. Yeah, these are kind of cool. But you look at even these photos of the real thing are way more informative and way more inspiring than just the drawings. You know what I mean? Oh, look at that guy. Cool. Okay, sorry. Enough of this. Moving on. This one definitely feels a little furryish. Like it's a human head on top. I mean, it's a cat on top of a human body. I think that could be pushed a little further. I like all the anatomy, which is great. Yeah, make sure you got to be careful. You don't want to shrink things too much. This is good, informative stuff. So keep going. All right, group 6. Oh my God, I'm halfway done. All right, what's the lowdown on this character? It's an owl.
He's they're like bird people. They're more bird than people.
Okay. Sorcerer. Okay. All right, it looks like a bird. It looks like a bird dressed up. I think you can, if that's what they're going for, that's fine. But I feel like I've seen it before. It's a bird dressed up in clothing. If that's what they're supposed to be, then I guess it's fine. But it could definitely be pushed further and just more exploration. Same thing. I sound like a broken record, but I think that type of exploration, like I said, will help you get beyond just the kind of generic look of things. These are kind of cool. I like this goose guy. See even this little thumbnail feels like a little bit more like a bird creature as opposed to a bird with clothes. This one feels like a bird with clothes on it. I think these are on the right track, but again, like I wish there would have been more and more and more. Oh wait, there's probably, yeah, I don't know if there's more. But, this is an okay start. It gets a little, like, the bodies are all the same in these. You know, when you look at birds' bodies, they're angled differently. You know, they could be like, that's kind of cool, big wide one. But they're not always just straight up and down. You know, this one feels like it could be a penguin, which is kind of cool. But what if it was angled? This guy was angled that way a little bit more. You know, really take a look at some of those small details in birds that make them things that make them birds, other than their feathers and wings. You know, that's birds. Oh, Brandon, are these yours? Nice. Oh, so these are cool because they're different shapes. But I think what you could do, Brandon, is you can start to push the thing that feels kind of similar with these is that these beaks feel a little too similar, and then the proportions of the wings to the body feels pretty similar as well.
Right.
Like throughout all, like what if these guys had, wings that were 60% in size, and maybe this guy had wings that were 80% bigger, where we're just trying to find contrast between the different things.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Oh, he's got a t-shirt on and a hoodie. Okay. So one thing you guys want to do when you guys are doing your silhouettes and thumbnails is I try to avoid using like thin tools like pencil tips or pens, and try to use things like Sharpie markers or a little bit thicker media or the size of your pencil. That way you can start thinking in shapes, if that makes sense, as opposed to outlining shapes. And I know that's a really weird thing to say, and because the distinctions, it's kind of hard to see sometimes. But it's like the difference between painting and drawing. In painting, you're painting shapes. When in drawing, you're drawing lines. And right now, these thumbnails, they're while the shapes are okay, you can see that they're thinking in outline and just filling in. So back to these. Yeah, I'd push it further. I like all the character that they're getting into this, so they're really exploring who this character is. But I think design-wise, it can be pushed a little bit more. I guess that's my favorite saying today. Push it farther. Cool. So I like these. These are kind of on the right track. They did a lot of exploration here, just to get some ideas down. There are things with smaller legs and these longer legs, and really pushing the contrast. Because, as our old friend John likes to say, contrast is the meaning of life. And it applies to everything. Yeah, at this point, I would just pick one and keep going. I'd probably get some more reference of types of clothing you might want to put on some of your characters. This for everybody, especially when you guys are doing the creatures. Sometimes you get so caught up in the cool anatomy of the cats or the birds or whatever, or the bear, bugbear, goblin guy. That sometimes you kind of get these cool shapes and proportions, and then you just put a generic clothing on them. Look for some cool clothing reference. Maddie. Okay, good exploration. Good reference, I think. That's cool right there. Whoa, that's really cool. You don't even need to do any character designs. That's it right there. That's neat, whatever that is. So I think you're on the right track. I think we can probably find there's something about how this head's being slapped on top of the body that I think we can push a little bit more to feel a little bit more bird-like. Like when I think about birds, and you can see it here, even in your thumbnails, it feels like the gesture of the head comes this way and the spine comes down this way and it curves back into the back. Where I don't feel like I'm getting that in this. Maybe it's just this angle, but if you can try to capture that bird neck into your tighter designs, that would help out a little bit more. And these are birds. Same idea with the clothing. You need to figure out the anatomy on this. If thing's going to have arms and wings, how does that all work and connect? Okay, sorry I'm going so slow, guys. Halfway there though, right? What is Monster 1?
You're doing great.
What's Monster 1 supposed to be?
So Monster 1 is
Feature?
Ocean Monster.
Ocean Monster, okay. Cool. So this reference is cool. It's a little, the one thing that stands out is color-wise, I think it's all similar. Like it's very vibrant colors. But I guess, never mind. It says it up here. And is there more reference? Okay, silhouettes. Good silhouette exploration. Again, it can be pushed a little bit further, just in terms of, yeah, they still feel, even though their shapes are pretty different, there's something that still feels very similar. Like they're kind of like the same width, no matter what, and the same height, so they have the same overall proportion. I know that sounds a little weird because they are very different, but I think it could be pushed further. Like if this was just a little skinnier, a little longer, because when I go, you can't see, like the height proportion to the width is very similar in all these, with the exception of maybe these guys. This is all. Just need more of that. And then, kind of decide on one and then go forward. Sea Wraith. Cool. So one thing I like about some of this reference is that it has, it's got this inspirational artwork, which is, like I said, is fine to have, but I can easily see how this inspirational artwork ties in to these actual sea creatures. They all feel very similar, I don't even know what that is. I don't know if that's artwork or fine art or whatever, but it's a cool looking shape, So these are looking pretty neat. They are different enough. There is kind of a similar stringy quality to all of them, which I think is pretty cool, but I think you can also try a couple of silhouettes that explore away from that. Yeah, just to see if there's something else that you might want to, explore in a different direction. But otherwise, these are on the right track. Ocean Monster. Okay, so these are kind of neat ideas right now. Like you've got, seeing the progression, you're kind of showing how something like that might work and how something like this, might operate. The one thing I'd say is to try to incorporate design a little bit more in integrating the human part character to the ocean part character. Like these thumbnails, because they're, they definitely show different shapes, but you want to do more than just plop a human on top of a some other kind of creature. How does that integrate? How does her waist integrate there? How does make it a little bit more one design, I guess. Oh, back to one. Also, when you're doing things like this, like an eye, find some reference of actual eyes underwater. Very rarely do they look as normal as regular eyes. This is something where a little bit more of that reference would help. Whoa, that guy's cool. Look at that. Nature's freaking amazing. We don't need character designers anymore. We just need nature. Okay, these thumbnails are cool. They're a little all over the place. Like, I don't know, which is good because you're exploring a lot of different things, but I don't get a sense of I don't get a sense that these are all thumbnails of the same creature where you're exploring different versions. So what I might do is, pick one that you feel a little bit closer to and explore playing with those shapes and proportions. Oh. Monster 2. Is there a specific thing for this creature? Do you guys know? Just a worm-like creature?
Sorry, I didn't realize. Monster 2 is lava.
Lava. Okay. I think this is okay. It's kind of neat. The explorations could definitely be pushed further, especially if you're thinking about something like lava. I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong in terms of this creature, but when I think of lava, I don't necessarily think of something that's quite as wispy as a lot of these designs are. I think of lava as thicker, slower, and that's just me, but that's something you might want to think about. Inspiration. Oh, okay, so you're going more like this type thing. And this is cool. This is cool. I would, like I said before, referencing other creatures that have been designed for other things it's okay for inspiration, but you want to look more. You want to look at reality. Okay, I think just more, more exploration. And you want to go beyond just taking the salamander and turning him into the right colors, because there's not much difference between this guy and this, So it's good that you're looking at that reference, but let's push it further, So I don't really know what's going on here. Like these shapes and thumbnails, they're not descriptive enough to me. This is getting a little bit better. What you want to do is, it's great to have those broad shapes, but just like in some of the other ones, you want to start to play with the proportions of some of your shapes. So you get, larger primary shapes and then some secondary shapes that might be a little smaller. That'll help you really, really, kind of find the direction you want to go. So this is a good first part, but now I would take these and go, further with them. So I'm not sure. Are these supposed to be? Is this guy made out of lava? Is that it? So, and these I just, squint your eyes. All these shapes look so similar when you squint your eyes. What? Squint your eyes? Yes, you still have to squint. All the way up until, whatever. Quiet, dog. Sorry, my dog's barking. Eric, so these are looking pretty cool. He's got different, levels of the shapes, different proportions everywhere. Cool. I don't know what that thing's doing, but it looks poisonous and dangerous. Oh, that's gross. That's gross too. This reference really cool is really cool. This is just a is this a frog creature? Sorry, I'm assuming it's supposed to be
It's monster 3 is forest.
forest creature. Okay, so it could be pretty much anything in the
Yeah.
forest. Okay. I like all this stuff. I would see if you can find even more because I know there's some frogs that look super crazy. And start to incorporate it. But I think Eric's on the right track with all his thumbnails. Next. Forest. Okay. These are okay. I like seeing how all of the sketches and everything are inspired and drawn from the actual reference. That's great. The one oh, this is all one creature. Is that how it's supposed to be? Like a transformation? I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's like a Pokemon evolving thing where they have stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, each getting more powerful.
Oh, okay. Well, the one thing I would say is I would push them further, even. Like right now, it's a face on a blueberry. Can we? And this shape's really cool in the reference. Can you do something to make it feel a little bit more monsterish? So it's not a Pokemon. Like this starts to feel a little cooler. Like this feels a little cooler. Well, maybe not with the eyes, but do you guys understand what I mean by that? Is we don't want to just take a shape and put a face on it. I think this is feeling a little bit better, but even the teeth are like they're a little bit generic. Like I'm looking at this reference here, and I see how there's a slight fold in this petal, and I don't know if that's probably just the angle this is taken at. But if you look at how everything kind of interweaves and overlaps with each other, if you can incorporate that into how this is designed, that would feel a little bit weirder. Like it's working a little bit here. Teeth, I don't know. Teeth you have to be careful with in terms of just throwing teeth on there. Just because when I look at this, yeah, their teeth look scary, but the rest of this doesn't look like there's any type of strength or muscle in it, so it doesn't feel like the teeth would actually do anything. And then this goes back to my thing with the faces. I think you can push it to be a little bit more interesting and creative and monster-like. Oh, that's cool. That's that weird fungus. Ew. Oh, poor guy. That's cool. Oh, that's pretty neat too. Cool. So I like all the reference. Let's see what this person's sketches look like. These could be pushed a little further. You got all that cool reference, and this is starting to, something like this is starting to explore a little bit more. I don't know if they're just supposed to be human, but this guy looks a little too human in terms of if he's supposed to be a monster. But I think more exploration. We don't want to just copy the reference in terms of having a deer with stuff growing out of him. How can you make that even cooler? Maybe it's not. Maybe he doesn't start off. Hey, quiet dog. Maybe he doesn't start off as a deer. Maybe he starts off as that kind of mushroom thing and grows into the deer. I don't know. I'm throwing weird things out there. But more exploration is always good. And so these are kind of cool. You got to be careful. They feel a little you know, furryish, where it's, you know, just the one animal head slapped onto another animal's body, one animal's head slapped onto another animal's body, and another animal's leg. You want to integrate it a little bit more, but I think it's a good start. Oh, almost there. Okay. So this exploration is looking pretty good. I think it's a start. So, you know, everything's nice and different, which is something that's good. Same with these. It's nice exploration. That's a little weird. That's cool. So these are on the right track too. And if you look at these thumbnails, well, I guess these are beyond thumbnails, but you know, you've got a lot of variety, which is what you guys want to do. Even in these, the ones that are all bird characters, you have this bird character, this bird character, this one. They're all different, you know. They're all pushing the proportions. Look how big this guy's feet are to those legs. That's pretty cool. So yeah, looking good. And then this is, I guess, this is reference sheet. That's all right. Oh, that's neat. I'm not sure what that's about, but those guys are cool. I'd find some more reference as well and just keep going. So these are pretty neat. I think good explorations, but I think you want to do these more as thumbnails, you know, smaller, so you can do a lot more of them in a quicker amount of time. And then from there, you can decide which way you want to go. But it's the right approach in trying different shapes and different proportions for different creatures. All right, down to the last one. That's pretty neat. So I think these are working fairly well as well, because we've got different types of creatures and just lots of exploration. That's the main thing you guys want to do, because look at this. When you say the word bird, you know, everybody has an idea of what a bird looks like in their mind, but look at all the variety within these birds. You know, look at this guy. That's freaking crazy. Never thought of a bird putting his tail forward like that. You know, think of peacocks when they, you know, do it up, but not forward. That's cool. And then you look at that turn in the vulture's neck. That's such amazing. And then even this guy's beak. You know, there's so much variety in nature that you really want to pull from it as much as you can. Cool. And then, so these are okay. These are stages, I guess. Yeah, they're interesting ideas, but they're not really designs right now. Like I don't understand how you get from this to that, and is this gun a part of this guy? You know, where does it come from? So I would just try to, I guess, design-wise, integrate things a little bit more. And if this is really supposed to be some kind of transformation, how does it transform? You know, obviously in cartoons you can do whatever the hell you want because it's a cartoon, but you want to try to establish the rules of the world and kind of, I guess what I'm saying is making things just appear and disappear or change within animation is kind of an easy way out, you know, and sometimes that's perfectly fine. But you want to definitely challenge yourself to be thinking about solving some of these problems a little bit more, you know. So that's what I would say on these, and just in general. Holy crap, that's a lot of stuff in an hour. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that helped or was just too boring or whatnot.
It was incredibly helpful. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Well,
thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
thank you for saying that. So I don't know what your next schedule is for going forward. I guess you guys have to have these all done over the break, so I guess you would, take whatever notes I thought about. I said think about them, see what you want to do with them. If you want to explore a little bit more, but I think by next time you have to kind of choose a direction, right, and start doing your drawing of it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, next time we're doing more of a character sheet.
Okay, cool. And what's in that character sheet that you guys are doing? Is it
What
turnaround,
kind
impressions, hero sheet, hero pose?
in the character sheet, it's gonna be sorry, I gotta think. It's gonna be a full body of the character, an action pose of the character, and then anything else is pretty much whatever you want to put in. So if you want to do a turnaround, if you want to do a faces expression sheet,
Okay.
or if you just want to write about your character.
Okay. Cool. Honestly, I would say, have fun with this, but put some time into it. That's what you're gonna. It's like anything you guys do, especially on the break. It's a little harder. But the more time you put in, the more you'll get out of it. Goes with anything. But what day is that supposed to be due next?
Ooh. Huh. Dang.
Yesterday.
Yeah. We're probably gonna have to move around the schedule, but yeah, about in a week.
Okay. And is that something you want me to look at as well, or
If you'd like to.
if you want me to, I can.
All right. Well, I'll email you with the schedule, and then you can get back to me.
Okay, sounds good. You guys have any questions about any of the stuff I blabbered about? Cool. All right. No questions. I like it.
All right.
Right. Thank you so much for
Right.
coming out and
Well, staying in.
staying
Yeah.
in, but
No problem. Good luck, everybody. I guess I'll talk to you guys
Thank
next
you.
time. Right?
yeah. Thank you so much
Right.
again, and
No
have a good
problem.
morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.